across the desert to greet you with a smile. My camel looks so tired.
Between 1979 and 1981, new wave trailblazers Squeeze made 3 essential albums that, to this day, remain true power pop classics. Fueled by the hook-laden melodies of Glenn Tilbrook and the sly, tongue-in-cheek lyrics supplied by Chris Difford, Squeeze songs from this era typically feature a rich mix of keyboards, horns, and bouncy guitar lines. But when they're stripped back to their basics, as Take Me On Yours, their first single, is here, you really notice another key component of their trademark sound, which is that Difford sings a full octave lower than Tilbrook.
Amusing belly dances distract me from a wind across Tibetan mountains. Memories of mine. I stood some ghostly moments with natives in the hills, recorded here on paper. My chills and thrills and spills. Take me, I'm yours, because dreams are...
Take Me On Yours is one of the few songs on their eponymous debut album that producer John Cale, of Velvet Underground fame, didn't meddle with and totally muck up. That first record was released in 1978 to disappointing reviews, and on this recent episode of the Sky Art show Songbook, the pair share a laugh about the legendary recording sessions that went terribly wrong.
I think he was, his mind wasn't fully on the job or us, and I've got tons of respect for John Cale. He's brilliant, and when he connected with us, it was great.
It was quite a scary time, really. He pulled me to one side and said, you've got to stop writing love songs and write songs about muscle men and about sex, bondage and sex and that sort of thing. Of course, I knew very little about that at that time.
But once they ditched Cale to follow their own creative instincts, both the songs and commercial success came on fast and furiously. Here's Chris Difford talking about the evolution of their collaborative process during the band's fertile early years, a time when their record label upped the ante by positioning the two frontmen as the next Lennon and McCartney.
We quickly fell into this way of writing where I would write like a bunch of lyrics, maybe 10 or 12 lyrics, give them to Glenn, and then wait for a couple of weeks, and then a cassette would arrive with these really brilliantly demoed songs on them, and that would be a really exciting time to listen to them all. And most of the time I felt very sorry for Glenn because they're quite depressing lyrics, And I think, well, how's he gonna make this sound good? But they always came back sounding great.
I want to be good, is that not enough? Then play me a song that makes it so tough.
6 months before the Songbook taping, the current incarnation of the full band performed in Manhattan's Bryant Park for a show that was filmed by PBS as part of their Artist's Den series, and recently released as a 16-song trade-friendly DVD in the live music trading community. It's shot on a beautiful midsummer evening behind the New York Public Library, and it's well worth tracking down as the band are in top-notch, note-faithful form.
She couldn't stand it, I'm bad on her heart. She dropped her makeup, and I find her fun how it concerns me. I've had a bad time, now love's inside. I've been such a fool, I've let the goodbye.
But surprisingly, Squeeze's live video catalog remains rather thin for a band that have 14 full-length albums to their credit. We're going to take you through a few other highlights, starting with Slap and Tickle, a skinny-tied, synth-driven affair that was the lead-off song from 1979's Cool for Cats.
Reaching like a Bible when she met her boyfriend Michael. They took her in and set for they sat like salt and pepper, looking out across the city from love, the sleep is pretty. The lights they flicker flood her, he told her how he loved her. Next night he called for her, but that protected daughter, and told him she was poorly. Her life was told there surely, but Michael felt rejected. This wasn't quite expected. He drove up to his love.
You might have noticed original keyboardist Jules Holland at the start of that clip, wearing a bow tie, bowler hat, and chomping on a cigar. But 1 year after this performance, Jules had quit the group, and 2 years beyond that, Squeeze would break up for the first time. Shortly after the BBC recorded this classic show at the Regal Theatre in Hitchin, Hertfordshire, in front of a boisterous crowd of pogoing young punters.
It's funny how the missions always look simply the same. And meanwhile at the station there's a couple of lively lads. They smell like ash your father. They're very cool for cats, they're cool for cats. To change the mood a little, I've been posing down the pub. I see in my reflection, I'm looking slightly rough. I fancy this, I fancy that, I wanna be so flash. Give a little muscle, spend a little cash, but all I get is bitter and a nasty little rash. And by the time I'm sober
Holland would rejoin the band in the mid-'80s, and the reformed group released another trio of semi-successful albums. Così fan tutti frutti in 1985, Babylon and On in 1987, and 1989's Frank. But sadly, Squeeze's most prolific songwriting days were already behind them. By the time they came to play the American music show Sunday Night in 1989, Jules was already looking elsewhere, and here doing double duty as both performer and host, prefiguring his ongoing, long-running stint on Later with Jules Holland.
There, of course, playing the drums. You've not met him?
Hello, Glenn.
See, David is my American friend, and I've been staying with him. But we'll do an exchange, and David will be coming to stay with you soon.
A bit of a love tryst, is that what you're talking
I think it's a bit of a love tryst, yes. You'll notice how our voices are so similar.
I can almost not tell you apart.
Yes.
And incidentally, that's iconic 80s saxophonist David Sanborn on the left, who would end up hosting the show the following year. And the band here are playing their much-loved song Tempted, which Tilbrook admits as being one of his favorites, the moment when the band actually grew up.
Past the church and steeple, the laundry on the hill, the billboards and the buildings, memories of it still keep calling and calling. But forget it all, I know I will. Tempted by the fruit of another, tempted but the truth is discovered. What's been going on now that you have gone? There's no heaven. Tempted by the fruit of another.
During the 90s, Squeeze continued to produce music and perform under a variety of alternate lineups, with Difford and Tilbrook always forming the musical nucleus of the group. Here's a bit of I've Got Everything in the World But You, typical of the period, but sadly recorded on a poor quality mono VCR, so apologies in advance for the less than stellar audio.
I got everything in the world but you. Everything in the world but you. I drive against traffic, people racing away.
By 1999, the band members had parted ways once more, and after a couple of stalled attempts to reignite this century, things began to come together again for Squeeze in 2007, and by 2010, the band had released Spot the Difference, a faithful recording of some of their classic tracks with minor elements altered that fans were urged to notice.
Please welcome Squeeze! They do it down on campuses, they do it in Waikiki. They sing about the beach all day and night, the cricket's creepy. Smiling faces in the sky. I have a Robbins paperback. Surfers drop their boats and drive. And everybody wants a hat. But behind the shadow, a holiday's complete. And I feel like William Tell, Magnolian, tiptoe feet, pulling muscles from a shell.
And they made history of a sort when they played the Jimmy Fallon Show in July of that year. Keyboard player Stephen Large here is performing a piano solo on his iPad during the song Pulling Muscles from the Shell, their hit from 1979's excellent Argy Bargy. That's it for this week on The Peaks. My name's Barnaby, and I'll catch you next time around.